All right, so if you've ever spun up a server in the cloud, chances are you started by just clicking around in the AWS console, right? And hey, that totally works, but it's not really how the pros get things done. So the big question is, how do you get from that first manual click to a slick, automated, professional deployment? Well, that's exactly what we're going to map out right now.
First, we're going to cover the absolute basics, like what even is a cloud server. Then we'll do the manual thing, the click-by-click method. After that, we level up to the automated way, with code. We'll look at how to get your software on there, figure out the smartest way to do it, and then wrap everything up into your very own deployment tool.
Okay, first things first. Before we can even think about automating, we've got to know what we're working with. So, what exactly is a cloud server in AWS? Let's get into the basic building blocks.
So the heart and soul of AWS Compute is this thing called EC2, which stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is this. It's basically your own computer, a virtual one, that just happens to live in a giant Amazon data center somewhere. You rent it, you can pay for it by the second, and you can use it to run, well, pretty much anything you want. A website, a database, you name it.
Now, every single server you build is made up of 4 key ingredients. First, you've got the AMI, or Amazon Machine Image. Think of this as the operating system template, like Ubuntu or Windows. Next is the instance type. That's your hardware, right? How much CPU, how much memory. Then there's EBS, Elastic Block Storage, which is just a fancy name for your server's hard drive. And finally, and this one's really important, you have user data. This is a little script that runs automatically the very first time your server boots up. Now hang on to that thought, because user data is going to be a big deal later on.
All right, so we know the components. Now let's talk about how pretty much everyone launches their first server, by just clicking around in the AWS console.
And the console has this great little launch wizard that holds your hand through the whole thing. You just pick your AMI, choose your instance type, set up your storage, give it a tag or a name so you don't forget what it is, and then set up a security group. That's your firewall. You click that big launch button and boom! A few minutes later, you've got a running server.
And look, this method is awesome. It's super visual, it's intuitive, it's perfect if you're just learning or, just need one server for a quick test. But what happens when you need to build a second one, or 10, or 100? Suddenly, the problems just jump right out at you. It's so slow, you're bound to misclick something eventually, and it's basically impossible to repeat perfectly every time.
So yeah, to get past those problems, we need to think like a pro. We need to go the automated route. It's time to put the mouse down and start coding.
And this right here, this is the question every team hits at some point. You've built one. Awesome. Now how do you build 100 of them? All exactly the same and, fast. The answer is definitely not learn to click faster.
The real answer is a concept called infrastructure is code, or IAC for short. The whole idea is ridiculously powerful. You define every single piece of your server, the AMI, the instance type, all of it in a text file. That code becomes your blueprint, the absolute source of truth for your infrastructure. And probably the most popular tool out there for doing this is Terraform.
And just look at this. This is what it looks like in practice. All those clicks we just talked about, choosing the AMI, the instance type, adding tags, it's all right here, defined in a few simple lines of code. This is your repeatable, reliable blueprint. You can run this once or 100 times, and you'll get the exact same server every single time. No misclicks, no forgetting a step. That is the power of IAC.
Okay, so this is great. We've automated building the server, but right now, all we have is an empty box, right? A blank operating system. The next big challenge is how do we actually get our software installed and running on it?
So a really common first instinct is to reach for something called a Terraform Provisioner, specifically one called remote-exec. It seems perfect. It lets you write out a list of commands, like update all the packages and install my web server, and then Terraform will SSH into your new server after it's built and run them for you. It feels like the most direct solution. But is it the best one?
And this is where we need to talk about a really, really important best practice. Because while provisioners do work, they can be a bit of a trap for new players. So let's look at the smarter, more pro-level way to handle this.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This quote is straight from the official Terraform docs. They literally tell you that provisioners should be a last resort. Why? Well, think about it. They rely on a separate SSH connection from your machine to the new server. That has a whole new layer of complexity. If your network hiccups or your SSH keys are wrong, the whole thing just falls apart. It's fragile.
So the pro move is to always lean on native cloud features when you can. And here's the perfect comparison. On the left, you see the provisioner. It needs that external connection, it's brittle. But on the right, remember user data from the beginning? That's the one. We just dropped the exact same script into the user data field. Now, instead of us trying to connect from the outside, we're telling AWS, hey, when you boot this machine up, run this script for me internally. There's no fragile network connection to worry about. It's just so much more reliable.
So this basically gives us a simple decision tree. Provisioners, they're your last resort, your emergency tool. User data, that's your go-to for bootstrapping. You know, that initial setup on first boot. But for the absolute gold standard in stability and speed, you'll want to use custom images. That's where you pre-bake all your software right into the AMI itself. Servers launch already configured, which is incredibly fast and bulletproof.
All right, we've gone all the way from clicking to coding. So what's the bottom line? Let's boil this all down into your personal deployment toolkit.
Here it is, basically your cheat sheet for deploying servers like a pro. Use the AWS console when you're just messing around, learning, or doing a quick one-off thing. For your real day-to-day work where you need repeatable servers, Terraform plus user data is your workhorse. It's the sweet spot. When you're dealing with critical production apps, that's when you invest the time in creating custom images. And provisioners? Yeah, keep them in your back pocket, but only for those weird edge cases where you've got no other choice.
So there you have it. That's the blueprint. You now know how to go from a beginner clicking around to an automated pro who builds with code. You get the tools, you understand the trade-offs, so the only question left is, what are you going to build?